Hello there, my friends. In ancient ruins, one would expect to find little more than stone. But in more recently destroyed buildings, there should be signs of life and inhabitation, furniture, tables, shelves, and maybe even treasure chests. And so today, we're going to make miniature furniture out of cardboard, using, for the most part, double-sided wood-textured cardstock. I'm going to start by making some shelves. I'm usually not very precise with my measurements. I eyeball things a lot, and go with more if I feel like it looks good. But for these videos I try to be more precise. That's why I showed the dimensions and measurements on screen. I started with a big piece of my wood-textured cardstock to represent the back of the shelves, and then drew on where the shelves themselves would be. Then I cut it into 4 pieces in half and then just half again, and glued them back together. If this step seems like it doesn't make sense or isn't worth it to you, you can skip it. For the shelves themselves, I only used single-sided wood textured cardstock for some reason. I probably thought the thinner layer worked better for the shelves and the walls of the shelves. After marking out how big one of the shelves itself would be, I used it as a guide to cut out the others, and then after they were all ready, I glued them all together. It's a pretty simple process, but gives beautiful results. After you've got it built and you're happy with how it looks, you can use your knife or a pen or pencil or toothpick or anything to scrape away some of the excess glue. And that's it. With our shelves done, let's make a miniature table. We'll use some more of our cardstock, and then for the table legs, I have some chopsticks that I got from a restaurant. The measurements and dimensions I used are all showed on screen again, so you can feel free to pause. After I had my planks, I just cut them into pieces, glued on some cross pieces, and then when I was happy with that arrangement, I glued on the table legs from the chopsticks. My scissors were good for trimming the excess off the ends of the table legs, but for cutting them off the chopsticks themselves, I found that these little snips that I got for probably $1 or $2 at a thrift shop worked really well. The other day, I made a video with my first attempt at making a cardboard treasure chest and other stuff, like crates. They were okay, they weren't great, and I've gotten a lot better since then, so here's my version of making cardboard treasure chests, part 2. I still made the body of it out of just regular corrugated cardboard, just a few little rectangles of whatever size you think looks good. I think I made mine 4 rectangles wide. And then I cut them into sort of an exaggerated trapezoidal shape, because I feel like less realistic, a little more exaggerated. That fits my overall style of the way I build things in general. So then I glued them all together to form the body of the chest, and for the lid I just took another of those rectangles and curved it until I thought it looked nice, then glued that on too. In my first attempt, I cut out about a dozen semicircles to form the body of the lid, and this is probably about 1,000,000 times easier, so I definitely recommend it. After we're happy with how it looks, we then just cover all the sides with our wood textured cardstock. Aside from transforming our build from cardboard into a wooden chest, when we add these details, like covering it in the cardstock, it covers up a lot of imperfections and helps us not have to be super precise in our measurements and stuff. That's also part of why I love that most of my games are set in ruins and apocalyptic and just devastated kind of settings, because things aren't going to look perfect. They're going to be broken and warped and rotting and neglected. I'm not really a perfectionist. I tend to have a chaotic approach to the way I do things, and I hope that this makes it easier for my videos and my crafts and my techniques to relate to other people, because a lot of us want to make cool things. We want to have great results and a beautiful looking tabletop to play on, but for me at least, I don't feel like I have the time or the mental energy to spend on making things look realistic and perfectly in scale. But they don't have to be. The worlds I play in are worlds of fantasy. So I try to do things in my own style, really. So they might not look super realistic to the real world, but they work great for what I need, and they look great together. And when you put all of the pieces together, from the large buildings and small ruins and scattered terrain and anything else, it helps to create almost like a whole little world, all in my own style. And as you keep growing and learning in your own crafting and building and art journey, maybe you'll develop your own style as well, drawing inspiration from maybe me, but maybe tons of other places too, just like I've found my own inspiration. It's a long journey, and it's best that way. If it was a short journey, it would be over so quickly and unfulfilling. But if you keep going and keep growing, it's almost like a lifelong path that you can walk that'll bring you joy with every step of the way. After you've finished building your miniature terrain, we're going to prime them. You can just use black paint, but since I play with and handle my stuff a lot, I want it to be more durable, so I do it with black paint with a mixture of glue or matte Mod Podge. Whatever it is you have, just white glue, paint, it'll work wonderfully. After that is dried, we'll get a brushy brush, do some off-white or white paint on it, and use it to dry brush and highlight all the details. I found that for the way I paint, this is the best way to do it. A black undercoat, an off-white dry brush, and then just one coat of a somewhat thin brown paint, and you've got amazing results. Even though it was a dry brush technique, it's best to let your highlights dry for a little bit too, before starting painting. And like I said, we're just going to use a brown paint, and paint all of the wood on all of our pieces with it. you can see how, because of its thinness, it leaves the dark parts of our piece looking dark and the light parts looking lighter. It gives natural shading to it with just one coat, and it makes, I don't know, I haven't found a better way to paint wood yet. If you have better, easier, something like that, please talk about it in the comments. I'm still learning and growing a lot as a painter myself, and so, I need all the help I can get. In any discussion, I welcome it so much. For the metallic bits on the chest, like the locks, I just use a gold paint. Because I only need a teeny amount, I use the paint from a dropper bottle technique that I showed in a apparently very controversial video from last year. When you only need a little bit of paint, even squeezing out a full drop from my bottle would have been much more than I needed. After that, we'll mix our white or off-white with a drop of our brown to make a tan. And we'll give a dry brush of this on our wood parts as well. You can do it on specific boards to show like a different coloration or different kind of wood used, or you can do it just sort of all over randomly. You can do it on edge highlights, wherever you want to show like extra wear and aging. If you do it unevenly, that creates more of what I think is called visual interest, because it breaks up the shape. It makes it look different. It makes your eyes drawn in more ways. And that's it, my friends. A very simple way to introduce more life into your ruins and tabletop games. Maybe you're into dollhouses and dioramas. Something like this would work well. Something that I think is the key to tabletop games especially is doing the same thing but in a bunch of different ways. An overturned table like this can make a great use of cover for your models and miniatures. In an earlier video about my cardboard barricades, I made one that is just a large table turned on its side. With a few arrows and some damage, it's perfect. Shelves like this could also be used as cover and to make barricades, but they can also be used as a substitute for ladders or stairs, so that your models can climb up, find treasure, and run off with it. And so, my friends, I'd love to hear what you think. Tell me your thoughts about making miniature furniture out of cardboard. These take very little time to make, but can add so much life and detail to your terrain, to your games, to your worlds. And for me, since my world is in ruins, my furniture is a bit ruined as well. The large shelf still works as a ladder or staircase. The rest are more to show the damage and destruction. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. As you can see from these pictures, there's a lot I've been working on that I'm really excited to share with you in the near future. Till next time, take care.